What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the channel. Hope everybody had a freaking awesome Halloween. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a mid-2000s gaming PC that is literally beat to hell. This thing needs some serious help. I can't wait to work on this thing, see if it actually works, and see what we can do with this old gal. Not to mention, it does have a pretty cool surprise waiting for us on the inside. This is going to be a fun one, folks. Let's dive in. Alright, folks, so this is our PC in question. This thing definitely needs some help. As you can see, our cooler is just resting on our GPU. We are missing our RAM, and the cable management is absolutely horrendous. So in terms of that little surprise that I was talking about, check this out. This thing comes with an AMD FirePro W5100. This is a 4 gig card. I do believe it's GDDR5. I've honestly never worked with one of these before, and I have no idea how this thing is going to perform in our benchmarks. I cannot wait to see what this thing can do. This is totally cool. So let's get this thing laid down on the operating table. Let's get this cooler remounted, get some thermal paste on here, get some RAM in here, and see if this thing's gonna actually post. Alright, so we got this thing all hooked up, and there's a few things I want to note before we actually go into trying to power this thing on. So first off, it is missing tons of pieces for the case. As you can see, we're missing our DVD drive here, we're missing a couple of our inserts for the front, and then we're missing more stuff down here. Not entirely sure what's missing down here, but there's definitely supposed to be something there. I'm assuming like the power or reset button. But then we're also missing our side panel here. So later in the video, we're actually going to go ahead and we're going to swap all of our components into a different case, a much nicer case. So without further ado, let's go ahead, let's see if this thing's going to power on and see if we can get into the BIOS. Alright, so it looks like we have no power so far. Let's go ahead and make sure that we are switched on at the back. Let's try this again. And it looks like we are getting no power. Although I do see a green light in here. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to disconnect our connections down here for our power switch and see if we can't jump it with a screwdriver. So with my trusty dusty screwdriver, let's go ahead and see if we can't jump these pins real quick and see if it's going to turn on. And we got power. All right, right on. Do we get picture on the screen? And look at that, we have picture on the screen. And it looks like we're dealing with an i5-4570. And then we have the 4 gigs of DDR3, which I installed just to test. We will be upgrading this to 16 gigs. So let's see if we can get into the BIOS. All right, so we are into the BIOS, and check out our temps. Not freaking bad at all. We're looking at 84 degrees Fahrenheit or 29 Celsius. Not freaking bad. Alright, so this i5, this came out all the way back in 2013, you guys. This thing has 4 cores running at 3.2 gigahertz, so not half bad. It does have a turbo frequency of 3.6 gigahertz, and that's max, so definitely not bad. This was built on the LGA 1150 socket, and then it does have integrated graphics. Obviously, nobody's interested in that. It does support up to 32 gigs of RAM, so not a bad little CPU that we got here. It does also have 4 threads, which I forgot to mention, and it does have a total TDP of right around 80 watts. Not a bad setup at all. So let's go ahead, get this thing on the operating table, get everything stripped out of here, and see what else we got going on. Alright, you guys, so we got this thing laid down on the operating table, and after doing a little bit of research on this GPU, this thing came out all the way back in 2014, so this old gal is getting pretty old too. So, as previously stated, this is a 4 gig card. This does run on GDDR5. It is not a bad GPU, however, it is definitely not for gaming. This would probably be used for like in a workstation or a server or something along those lines. But we're definitely going to see what this thing can do in terms of gaming. I can't wait to see the performance of this thing, whether it does good or bad. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to start pulling everything out of here, and then I'm going to show you guys the case that I plan on putting this stuff into. Alright, and there is our motherboard. This thing is squeaky freaking clean. This thing is beautiful. I don't even need to do no dusting on this thing. Even our cooler here is dustless. This thing is absolutely gorgeous. So let's go ahead and set everything off the side and take a look at the case that we plan on putting all this stuff into. Alright folks, so this is our donor case here. Never heard of this brand. It's either called VIV or VIVO. Definitely not a bad case. It's got some fans in here, but more importantly, this thing comes with a 400 watt EVGA power supply. So super dope. It does have a fan here, it has a fan up front, and then of course we have all of our connections that we need to do whatever it is that we need to do. So this case, it's in a little bit rough shape. It's definitely dirty. It has one hell of a dent on the top here. Hopefully you guys can see that. So it's gonna need a little bit of help, but overall it's not bad at all. And we do have our side panel here. And then of course we have our front insert. So I'm gonna go ahead, get this thing all nice and cleaned up, get all of our components installed in here. When I come back, this thing's gonna be ready to retest. Alright you guys, we got this thing all back together and she looks absolutely freaking incredible. I went ahead, I removed the massive dent from the top here. We have a little bit of the dent left over. That's not something that I can control. Not a big deal. When you come around to the side, you can see how beautiful she looks. So I went ahead and I cable managed this thing and it looks absolutely beautiful. So the main question is, does this thing actually post? I have our SSD installed, I have Windows installed. Let's go ahead and turn this thing on and see if we get a post. And there you all have it. We have a post. Is it going to load into Windows? And there it is, loading into Windows. When I come back, we will have a bunch of games installed. We're gonna see what this old gal can do. Let's freaking go.
Just breathe and feel alive. Each passing flicker of our souls ablaze, revealing secrets to the blinding age. Light reflecting what we are inside. Let the truth be your guide. Stay with me tonight, far from the fading light. We can leave it all behind. Just breathe and be alive. Stay with me tonight, far from the fading light. We can leave it all behind. Just breathe and feel alive.
Well, you guys, can't say that we didn't try. I expected more performance from this GPU, but it is what it is. On a budget, it's acceptable, but for competitive play, not so much. It is what it is. At least we tried. Until next time, you guys, I will catch you in the next one. I hope you enjoyed the video. Stay safe in the world.